Imagine waking up in ancient Egypt, the sun is blasting through your mud brick window, the Nile is glittering outside, and before you do anything else, you reach for your eyeliner, your perfume, and something to shave with. Because in ancient Egypt, being beautiful wasn't just about looking good for other people. It was about health, magic, social status, and being attractive forever, even in the afterlife. Picture this. You're at a party in Thebes around 1300 BCE. Harps are playing, dancers spin in colorful linen, and the air is thick with incense and wine. You look around and everyone, men and women, has perfectly lined black eyes, shimmering green eyeshadow, glossy scented wigs, smooth hairless skin, and on top of many heads, strange white cones made of perfumed fat, slowly melting down over their wigs like scented ice cream. To us, it might look like a chaotic mix between a makeup counter and a candle disaster. To them, this was peak beauty. The first thing to know is that in ancient Egypt, being beautiful meant being clean. Not I showered this morning clean, but almost obsessively clean. The climate was hot, dusty, and sweaty, so people bathed frequently. They used pastes made of oils, ash, or clay as early soap, and rubbed their skin with sand to exfoliate. Smooth, perfumed skin signaled health, sexuality, fertility, and even spiritual purity. The cleaner, softer, and better smelling you were, the closer you seemed to the gods. The ideal body was slender, with a narrow waist, long legs, big almond-shaped eyes, a straight nose, full lips, and even-toned skin. Youthfulness and glow were everything. And this wasn't just for women. Men also invested serious effort in their appearance, checking themselves in polished bronze mirrors, smoothing on ointments and perfumes, and carefully lining their eyes with kohl. You probably know the most iconic part of Egyptian beauty, the eye makeup. Those dramatic black lines stretching out from the corners of the eyes, sometimes paired with green shadow. Both men and women painted their eyes. They used black coal made from crushed minerals and green pigment made from malachite. They ground these stones on small pallets, mixed the powder with fat or oil, and applied it with tiny sticks. It looked amazing, but it wasn't only about fashion. The Egyptians believed this makeup protected them from the evil eye and harmful spirits. At the same time, the dark pigment helped cut the harsh glare of the sun and may even have reduced the risk of eye infections in a sandy, dusty environment. So your average ancient Egyptian was wearing eyeliner that was magical, medicinal, and totally gender-neutral thousands of years ago. Now, back to those cones on people's heads at parties. Imagine getting dressed for a celebration and placing a cone of perfumed fat right on top of your wig. These cones were made of animal fat or wax full of fragrant resins like myrrh or lotus. As the evening went on and the room got warmer, the cone slowly melted, releasing beautiful scent and dripping perfumed oil down onto your hair, wig, and clothes. Luxurious? Yes. Slightly gross? Also yes. For a long time, people thought maybe those cones were just symbolic decorations in paintings, but archaeological finds suggest they really existed. They were, essentially, solid perfume designed to melt over time. So the full glamorous look might include a linen dress, jewelry, a styled wig, dramatic eyeliner, colored lips, and a slowly melting perfume hat. Hair was a huge part of beauty standards, but in Egypt, beauty often meant being hairless. The heat and dust meant that hair could trap sweat, dirt, and lice. Many Egyptians, especially the wealthy, simply shaved their heads. Both men and women wore wigs made from human hair and sometimes mixed with plant fibers. These wigs were carefully braided, curled, layered, and heavily perfumed. People could swap them out for different occasions, just like we might change hairstyles or outfits. Under the wigs, the scalp was often completely shaved. And it didn't stop there. Body hair in general was seen as unattractive and unclean. People removed hair from their arms, legs, and pubic area using copper or bronze razors, tweezers, and sticky pastes made from sugar and water, an early form of sugaring or waxing. Smooth skin meant purity, status, and self-control. So if you've ever endured a painful wax for the sake of smoothness, you're participating in a tradition that goes back thousands of years. Their skincare routines would fit right into a modern spa menu. They used oils like almond, moringa, and castor to keep the skin soft and flexible. Honey and milk were used as soothing, hydrating masks. Red ochre mixed with fat colored their cheeks and lips. Nails and sometimes hair were tinted with henna. Perfumes were thick oils scented with frankincense, myrrh, lotus, and other aromatics. One famous blend, known as kaifi, was used as a perfume, incense, and even a kind of medicine. But some of these beauty products came with a price. Certain cosmetics contained heavy metals like lead. The Egyptians didn't know about long-term toxicity the way we do. They just knew the colors were intense, lasted a long time, and seemed to keep certain illnesses away. In a way, it's not so different from modern beauty trends where people sometimes prioritize results over safety. If you look at Egyptian art, on tomb walls, statues, and papyri, you'll notice something else. Almost everyone looks flawless. Bodies are long and slender, stomachs are flat, faces are symmetrical, skin is smooth. Men are often shown with lean muscles and straight posture. Women appear with elegant curves, narrow waists, and high, firm chests. Signs of aging, like wrinkles or sagging skin, are rare. But these images were not realistic portraits, they were ideals. Tomb art and statues weren't just about capturing what a person looked like in life. They were about creating an eternal version of that person, a body that would exist forever in the afterlife. So the art style itself acts like a built-in beauty filter, smoothing, refining, and perfecting. Even thousands of years ago, the pictures were edited. Beauty in ancient Egypt was never just about looking nice for today. It was deeply tied to status and spirituality. The richer you were, the more you could afford fine linen, elaborate wigs, shimmering jewelry, and beautifully carved cosmetic containers. Objects like mirrors, combs, perfume bottles, and makeup palettes were luxury items. People were buried with them so they could maintain their appearance after death. Even statues of gods wore the same kind of makeup and wigs as humans. To take care of your body was to show respect for the divine order of the world, known as Maut. Beauty was a way of aligning yourself with harmony and perfection. You weren't just dressing for a party, you were dressing for eternity. One of the most surprising parts for many modern viewers is that beauty was not considered just for women. Men were expected to look polished and scented too, especially high-status men. A powerful man might wear thick eyeliner, eyeshadow, perfume, a finely styled wig, and layered jewelry. Grooming was part of what made him look authoritative and worthy of respect. So imagine a world where a king in heavy eyeliner, a jeweled collar, and a scented wig is not unusual or flamboyant, it's the norm. When we talk about shocking beauty standards in ancient Egypt, the details really are dramatic. Shaving heads and bodies, wearing wigs every day, balancing cones of melting perfume on your head, painting your eyes with mineral-based cosmetics, exfoliating with sand, packing your makeup kit for the afterlife. It sounds wild, but if you zoom out, you start to see patterns that feel very familiar. Obsessing over clear, smooth skin, spending time and money to look young and healthy, using products that might not be totally safe because they work, connecting beauty and grooming with wealth, power, and social class, editing our images, back then through idealized art, now through filters and photo editing, to match a standard. We still chase many of the same things the ancient Egyptians did: smoothness, symmetry, youthfulness, glow, and the feeling that if we can just get our face, our body, our hair, our style exactly right, life will somehow go better. So next time you're putting on eyeliner, moisturizing, shaving, or debating whether to book that next wax appointment, remember, thousands of years ago, people along the Nile were doing their own intense routines for many of the same reasons. Not just to look good, but to feel protected, powerful, desirable, and a little bit closer to the divine. Ancient Egyptian beauty standards might seem shocking at first glance, but underneath the wigs, the kohl, the perfume cones, and the polished bronze mirrors, they reveal something very human: the desire to transform fragile, temporary bodies into something that feels timeless.